In this presentation, we have to talk about Schrodinger time, independent and dependent wave equations. First, we have to derive the Schrodinger time independent wave equation. For that, consider a particle of mass m moving with velocity v. The wave equation used to describe the motion of the particle is given by del square psi, which is equal to 1 by v square into dou square psi divided by dou t square. This is equation 1. Here psi is the wave function, then del square is equal to dou square by dou x square plus dou square by dou y square plus dou square by dou z square. This is called Laplacian operator. Psi is the wave function. Now the general solution of equation 1 is psi equal to psi 0 e power minus I omega t. Keep this equation 2. Now we have to find out the first order differentiation of this solution. Dou psi by dou t equal to psi 0 is a constant, its amplitude value psi 0, keep this constant as such. Then differentiation of e power minus I omega t is the same term, e power minus I omega t into minus I omega. Therefore this is minus I omega psi 0 e power minus I omega t. Now once again we may write this. This is our psi. Therefore this is equal to minus I omega into psi. Dou psi by dou t equal to minus I omega into psi. This is equation 3. But actually we need the value of dou square psi by dou t square. So make the second order differentiation. Further differentiate equation 3. Dou square psi by dou t square, which is equal to dou by dou t of dou psi by dou t. Is dou by dou t of, put dou psi by dou t value. Actually dou psi by dou t value is minus I omega into psi 0 e power minus I omega t, that is minus I omega psi. This is minus I omega psi 0 e power minus I omega t. Now make a differentiation. Say this is equal to, keep this term as constant, minus I omega, then psi 0, this also, then dou by dou t of e power minus I omega t. This is equal to minus I omega psi 0, then differentiation of e power minus I omega t is e power minus I omega t into minus I omega. So here minus into minus plus I into I square omega psi 0 e power minus I omega t. I square is a complex number. I square value is minus 1. This is known to you. Therefore this is minus omega psi 0 e power minus I omega t. But this value psi 0 e power minus I omega t is actually psi. So this is omega into omega. See here, this is omega square. Omega into omega, omega square, minus into minus, plus I into I square. So I square omega square psi 0 e power minus I omega t. This is omega square. Then psi 0 e power minus I omega t is our psi. Now we may modify this term as minus omega square into psi. In the left hand side, the value is dou square psi by dou t square. Now substitute this value of dou square psi by dou t square in equation 1. Equation 1 is del square psi, which is equal to 1 by v square into dou square psi by dou t square. This is equation 1. Now substitute this value, del square psi, which is equal to 1 by v square. Dou square psi by dou t square is minus omega square into psi. Del square psi equal to minus omega square divided by v square into psi. Keep this as equation 4. You know that omega equal to 2 pi nu. This is the formula. Omega equal to 2 pi nu. But v equal to nu lambda. Velocity equal to frequency into wavelength. From this, nu equal to v by lambda. Therefore, omega equal to 2 pi into v by lambda. This is the value of omega. The angular velocity omega equal to 2 pi into nu. A relation connecting frequency and wavelength is v equal to nu lambda. It's a wave equation. V equal to nu into lambda, nu equal to v by lambda. So omega equal to 2 pi v divided by lambda. Substitute the value of omega in equation 4. Now find out the value of omega square. Omega square equal to 4 pi square v square by lambda square. Substitute this value of omega square in equation 4. Now 4 becomes del square psi, which is equal to minus omega square by v square into psi, that is equal to, instead of this, minus 4 pi square v square by lambda square. This is the value of omega square. Then this v square into psi. See here, instead of this omega square, we have substituted 4 pi square v square lambda square. This is our omega square. So omega square by v square into psi. Now this v square get cancelled. Del square psi equal to minus 4 pi square by lambda square into psi. Keep this equation 5. Now bring this 4 pi square by lambda square into psi with a negative sign to the left hand side. This is modified as del square psi plus 4 pi square by lambda square into psi equal to 0. According to de Broglie, lambda equal to h divided by mv. De Broglie wavelength equal to Planck's constant h divided by mass of the particle into velocity of the particle. Therefore, lambda square equal to h square divided by m square v square. Substitute this value of lambda square in the equation 6. Now equation 6 becomes del square psi plus 4 pi square divided by h square into m square v square. Instead of lambda square, we have to substitute h square by m square v square. This h square into m square v square into psi equal to 0. This is equation 7. Total energy E equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy. E equal to kinetic energy is half mv square, potential energy is capital V. Now half mv square equal to E minus V. See here, if you bring this V to the left hand side, E minus V equal to half mv square. Then mv square equal to cross multiply these two. 2 into E minus V. M square V square. Multiply both sides of the above equation with m. M square V square equal to 2m into E minus V. Now in equation 7, substitute the value of m square V square. Substituting the value of m square V square in equation 7, we get del square psi plus 4 pi square by h square. Instead of this m square v square, we have to put this value 2m into E minus V. Entire is multiplied by psi equal to 0. This is equation number 8. This is del square psi plus 2 into 4, 8. 8, then keep this m. m pi square by h square into e minus v, so psi equal to 0. Here h is Planck's constant. This equation 9 is called Schrodinger time independent equation. This is our Schrodinger time independent wave equation. We may simplify this equation further. We know that h cross equal to h by 2 pi. Planck's constant by 2 pi is h cross. Now the above equation 9, now equation 9 becomes del square psi plus 2m by h cross square into e minus v into psi equal to 0. See here, h cross is h by 2 pi. H cross square is h square divided by 4 pi square. Now this 8m pi square by h square, 8m pi square by h square is simplified as 2m into 4 pi square by h square. See here, h square by 4 pi square is h cross square. This 4 pi square by h square is 1 by h cross square. So therefore 2m into 1 by h cross square, that is equal to 2m by h cross square. See here, 2m by h cross square into e minus v. Entire is multiplied by psi. So this is equation number 10. This is our Schrodinger time independent wave equation. This is Schrodinger time independent equation. Equation 10 is called Schrodinger time independent equation. Equation 9 is also called Schrodinger time independent equation, but we have given small modification to equation 9. Both are same. For a free particle, the potential energy V equal to 0. Suppose a particle is free from external force and the potential energy is 0, then the Schrodinger equation becomes del square psi plus 2m by h cross square e into psi equal to 0. This is free particle Schrodinger time independent wave equation. Now we have to derive our Schrodinger time dependent equation. Schrodinger time dependent. See here, the energy E is total energy. The above equation is free from time explicitity. We are not seeing the time factor in the above equation 10. Here the energy E is our total energy. We have to derive the Schrodinger time dependent equation present. The Schrodinger time dependent equation is derived from Schrodinger time independent equation. We have to derive the Schrodinger time dependent equation from Schrodinger time independent equation. Schrodinger time independent equation is del square psi plus 2m by h cross square into e minus v into psi equal to 0. Take this as equation 1. To derive Schrodinger time dependent equation, we are considering this one as equation 1. Now this equation should be modified. Del square psi equal to, keep all the terms to the right hand side, minus 2m by h cross square into e minus v into psi. Because here these terms are in addition. If you shift all the terms to the right hand side, this is taking a negative sign, minus 2m by h cross square into e minus v into psi. No 0. The 0 is gone. Del square psi equal to minus of 2m by h cross square into e minus v into psi. Keep this equation 2. Now multiply both sides. Multiply both sides by minus h cross square by 2m. If you multiply both sides of equation 2 by minus h cross square by 2m, we can get minus h cross square by 2m del square psi, which is equal to, here minus 2m by h cross square is already present. If you multiply by minus h cross square by 2m, this minus into minus is plus. All other terms are present as such. This minus into minus plus. H cross square cancelled out, 2m cancelled out. Therefore, minus h cross square by 2m del square psi, which is equal to e minus v, the entire is multiplied by psi. Actually, this is equal to e into psi minus v into psi. Here the left hand side is minus h cross square by 2m del square into psi. Now bring this potential energy term to the left hand side. Minus v psi is changed into plus v psi if it comes to the left hand side. Minus h cross square by 2m del square psi plus v psi equal to e into psi. This is equation number 3. Now we may modify this further. Minus h cross square by 2m plus minus h cross square by 2m into del square. Keep this del square as such. Plus v entire is multiplied by psi. Take this psi outside, common term. Minus h cross square by 2m del square plus v entire is multiplied by psi, which is equal to e into psi. This is equation number 4. Now take the solution of Schrodinger equation. The solution of Schrodinger time dependent wave equation is psi equal to psi 0 e power minus I omega t. This is the solution. Already I have written. See that the general solution psi equal to psi 0 e power minus I omega t. Take that solution. Find out the first order differentiation. Dou psi by dou t, which is equal to psi 0 is a constant. Differentiation of e power minus I omega t is e power minus I omega t into minus I omega. With respect to t, we have to differentiate this e power minus I omega t, dou by dou t of e power minus I omega t, dou by dou t of e power minus I omega t is equal to e power minus I omega t into minus I omega. So this is dou psi by dou t equal to, keep this psi 0 as a constant, e power minus I omega t into minus I omega. Now this is minus I omega psi 0 e power minus I omega t. Keep this term, this is our psi. Therefore, dou psi by dou t, which is equal to minus I omega into psi. We know that omega equal to 2 pi nu. But energy of the photon E equal to h nu. Therefore, nu equal to E by h, frequency nu equal to E by h. Substitute this value in equation omega. Therefore, omega equal to 2 pi E by h. Keep this as equation, this is equation 5. Substitute the value of omega in equation 5. Now equation 5 becomes dou psi by dou t, which is equal to minus I into, instead of omega we have to substitute 2 pi E by h into psi. This is equation number 6. Now come to our equation 4. Equation 4 is minus h cross square by 2m del square plus v into psi equal to E into psi. Therefore, we need the value of E alone. From this equation 6, we have to obtain the value of E into psi. We need the value of E psi. Then see this, we need E psi alone. This value alone be needed. We need only this value. E into psi value we need. Therefore, we have to cross multiply this h, or modify this equation further. Dou psi by dou t equal to minus I into E by h cross into psi, because h pi 2 pi equal to h cross. 2 pi by h is 1 by h cross. Therefore, minus I is 2 pi by h is 1 by h cross. This E is present as a psi. Minus I E psi divided by h cross. Keep this equation 7. We need the value of E psi alone. We need E psi on the right hand side. So bring this term h cross and I to the left hand side. For that, keep this I term, multiply both sides of equation 7 by IH cross. We get, see here, IH cross dou psi by dou t, which is equal to IH cross into minus IE by h cross into psi. See this, I into I square minus I square, this h cross cancelled out, E into psi. I square equal to minus 1, minus I square equal to minus of minus 1, that is equal to plus 1. Therefore, IH cross dou psi by dou t, which is equal to E into psi. IH cross dou psi by dou t equal to E into psi. Now come to the equation 4. This is our Schrodinger time dependent wave equation, or at least take the equation 10. This is modified in this form. From equation 10 alone, we arrived at this equation 4. This is our Schrodinger time independent equation. See this, del square psi plus 2m by h cross square E minus V into psi equal to 0. We have modified this equation in this form. H psi equal to E psi form. See, minus h cross square by 2m del square plus V into psi equal to E into psi. This is Schrodinger time independent equation. In this equation, we have to substitute the value of E psi. Write down this equation. Minus h cross square by 2m del square plus V into psi, which is equal to E into psi. This is Schrodinger time independent equation. We framed this one as 4. If I as 4. In this equation 4, in equation 4, if we substitute E psi equal to IH cross dou psi by dou t, we can get our Schrodinger time dependent equation. that is minus h cross square by 2m del square plus v into psi, which is equal to I h cross dou psi by dou t. Say this is our equation 8. This is equation 8. This equation is Schrodinger time dependent equation. In this equation, we may see the time explicitly. The factor dou by dou t is present. Now we may modify this equation in terms of h psi equal to e psi. H psi equal to e psi. Here h is our Hamiltonian operator. Hamiltonian operator. E energy operator. See here, Hamiltonian H equal to T plus V. Total energy, this is total energy. This is kinetic energy, then potential energy. Therefore, Hamiltonian H equal to kinetic energy is half mv square, potential energy is V. Then H equal to 1 by 2 m square v square by m. Just multiply m and divided by m plus v. You know that momentum P equal to mv. Therefore, the Hamiltonian H equal to P square is equal to m square v square. P square by 2m plus v. This is Hamiltonian. The momentum operator is minus IH cross delta. This is the value of momentum operator. Therefore, we may write P equal to minus IH cross delta. P square equal to minus IH cross delta whole square. This is equal to, we know that minus square is plus, I square is minus 1. So minus H cross square del square. This is the value of P square. Now Hamiltonian H equal to minus H cross square divided by 2m. Instead of this P square, we have to substitute minus H cross del square. This 2m is present as H. This V is also present as H. This is the value of H. In the same manner, we may prove that the energy operator E equal to IH cross dou by dou t. This is called energy operator. Energy operator. If you use these two operators H and E, see this equation. This part is Hamiltonian operator. IH cross dou by dou t. This part is called energy operator. So H psi equal to E psi. If you say H psi equal to E psi, it represents both Schrodinger time independent and dependent wave equations. If H is Hamiltonian operator and E is the energy operator, it is representing Schrodinger time dependent wave equation. Suppose the E is the total energy. Simply it represents Schrodinger time independent wave equation. So in the case of Schrodinger time independent wave equation, we are not seeing the time factor. Here E is the total energy. We modified this equation 10. This is Schrodinger time independent equation in this form. Here E is the total energy. We modified this equation 10 in this form. Both the equations are same. Here this is our Hamiltonian operator. If you express this equation in the operator form, that is our Schrodinger time dependent wave equation. If you express this E as total energy, it is free from time explicitly. Time factor is not seen in this particular equation. This equation is called Schrodinger time independent equation. Suppose if you replace E by means of operator IH cross dou by dou t, energy operator, and this is our Hamiltonian, H psi equal to E psi, then that equation is called as time dependent wave equation. Both the equations are same. If energy is taken for our consideration, if E is the total energy, then the equation is called Schrodinger time independent wave equation. If E is taken as energy operator, that is IH cross dou by dou t, that equation is called Schrodinger time dependent wave equation. That's all about the Schrodinger equations.